everybody, and welcome to tonight's Wednesday night recharge. We're going to talk about the fact that it's possible. I don't know what it is that you're facing. I don't know what difficulty that you may have in your life. I don't know what circumstance that you may have going on. I don't know what mountains, as we talked about last week, may be in your life, or what difficult situation that you're facing. But I want to tell you that it's possible. So I just want you to just say that out loud, type it on the line, and just say, it's possible. I want you to just express your faith. Say it's possible. I want you to type it's possible wherever you're writing, wherever you're watching this from, because I want you to really get this in your spirit tonight, because I think this is going to help you. And so I want you to go to the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter number 9, verse 23. And it reads, "If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth." That's Mark 9 and 23. And so I want to tell you tonight, never underestimate the power of faith. So whatever you believe will determine what you receive. So you have to make sure that you are thinking and believing correctly. And so Mark 9, 14 through 29 tells us the account of a deeply distressed father who has learned the power of faith firsthand on the day that he came to Jesus with his son who was severely demon possessed. And I want to tell you, this boy wasn't just demonically affected. He was violently attacked by demon spirits that had repeatedly tried to kill him by throwing him into both fire and water. And so as far as the father was concerned, this situation was irreversible and it was impossible to cure. And so in desperation, he brought his son to Jesus' disciples, but they were unable to help the man. And after repeated unsuccessful attempts to cast the demons out of this child, the disciples finally brought the boy to Jesus to see if he could cast them out. And so in New Testament times, I want you to understand that demon possession was considered the most impossible sickness, malady, situation, circumstance to cure. People, including religious leaders, were so powerless in the presence of the demons that the demon-possessed individuals are often chained up and left in remote conditions. And so a famous example of this is found in Scripture when the demoniac who was kept in the remote region of Gadara. I want you to go to Mark 1, Mark chapter number 5, verse 1 through 20. Again, that's Mark chapter 5, verse 1 through 20. When this father in Mark 9:23 was severely tormented, with the severely tormented child brought him to Jesus, he didn't see his condition as a possible situation at all, because he believed that Jesus had power over the demons. And so Jesus responded to this man's faith and said, if you canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And so because the father believed, Jesus cast the demons out of his son and returned the boy to his father as a normal child. That's Mark 9, 24 through 28. So I want you to understand that day, Jesus taught this principle. If one can simply believe, anything is possible. Even setting a demon-possessed person free from demon spirits. Wherever faith is present, the impossible is doable. And so this verse always makes me think of all of the times that people have presented me with a seemingly impossible odds and said, Justin or Pastor, no one has ever done what you're attempting to do. We know several people who tried to do this in the past, but they failed and ended up in a mess. So Pastor, Justin, be careful, because it's unlikely that you're going to be able to achieve this thing that you're trying to do. And so I want you to understand that over the years, that kind of gloomy, pessimistic prediction has been made to me and made to my wife, Ophelia, more times than we can count. With nearly everything that we've ever done, someone has always tried to tell us that it wasn't possible. But in every case, I want to tell you they were wrong. And I want to say it again. Wherever faith is present, the impossible is doable. It's possible. I'm trying to tell you. When I hear somebody tell me that something is impossible, I laugh inside of myself, because I personally know that we serve a God who specializes in the impossible. And so Jesus said, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. That's Mark 9 and 23. Jesus made it very plain. If we will believe, all things are possible to us. So I want you to understand tonight that the word possible in the Greek means to express an idea or an ability of one who is able or capable, one who's competent. And so this word shares the same root word with dunamis, which is the Greek word for power. This emphatically tells us that there is power that causes one to become able, capable, or competent for any task. And so when this explosive power comes on the scene and begins to operate in someone's life, it doesn't matter how unfit the person is. It doesn't matter how unqualified the person was before. This power supernaturally energizes them and makes them possible to do the task that's set before them. So who is this type of person who will accomplish impossible feats? Jesus answered this question when he said, all things are possible to him that believeth. So the word believeth means faith. However, the past tense is used in this verse. And so it pictures a person who is already believing. So this is not someone who once had an experience of faith in the past, but rather it is a person who's presently believing right now. He didn't just believe in the past, but he is a believer. His faith is actively reaching forward right now to grab a hold of what God has promised. And so his faith habitually and constantly and consistently and overwhelmingly is straining forward to take hold of the desired goal that he sees before him. And so I want you to understand tonight that faith is the spark that ignites the impossible and causes it to become impossible. That was so good. I'm going to repeat that again. Faith is the spark, the igniter that causes the impossible to become impossible. That's when faith is activated. That's when the supernatural is set in motion. That's when a person is able to do what they would not normally be able to do. That's why Jesus said, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And so once faith has been activated and remains activated, a person becomes enabled to and empowered so that he is capable and competent to do whatever God told him to do. That person can even do the impossible. So in this case, and in this case, and in my case, and in your case, I just want to tell you about me. When I receive a mandate from God, and I've received one, when I receive a mandate from God to push forward into a new uncharted territory, I look at the project from every angle, and I immediately begin renewing my mind to believe that I can do anything that God has asked me to do. I want you to just say that. I can do anything that God has asked me to do. Type it on the line. I can do anything that God has asked me to do. So even when it seems impossible to others, it's possible to me. Because if he told me to do something, regardless of how big it is, regardless of how impossible it seems to be to the natural mind, I always tell myself I can do it and that my eyes will see it come to pass. After all, if it couldn't be done, why would Jesus ever ask me to do it? If it couldn't be done, why would Jesus ask you to do it? So the fact is that God, all things are possible. Therefore, it's up to you and me to get our thinking in line with God's word and build up our faith to the level that it needs to be for the new challenge. And so when we experience an explosion of supernatural faith that literally challenges us and carries us over into the realm of impossible things, then they become possible because of our faith. Jesus made it very clear that we will receive exactly what we believe. And so if we believe that I can do the impossible, I'll do it. But if I believe that I can't do the impossible, then I won't do it. See, if you believe you can do the impossible, you do it. But if you believe that you can't do the impossible, you won't do it. And so when I look on those people who warned me about the things that they said couldn't be done, most of those people have never done anything. So because we dared to believe today, we're standing in the middle of many accomplished impossible assignments that others said could never happen. Wherever faith is possible, wherever faith is, impossible is doable. I need you to understand that. Wherever faith is, impossible is doable. So until that father in Mark 9 met Jesus, he had probably been surrounded with a group of people who gave him no hope and demonstrated no faith. Apparently, even the disciples had a hard time believing that the little boy could be set free. But as soon as, how many of y'all know, as soon as that father got around Jesus and heard Jesus speaking words of faith, he believed. And as soon as the father believed, it was just a matter of minutes before the son was completely and totally set free. Once faith is activated, it doesn't take a long time for the impossible to become possible. So I want to tell you tonight, I want to encourage you to believe that all things are possible. I want you to push that doubt and unbelief out of the way. And if you must, I need you to find a new group of friends that will get into your position of faith with you, so that then you can release faith for the impossible to become possible. So I want you to think about these questions as we close. Have you ever attempted to do something that other people said was not possible? I want you to think about how those words affected you. I want you to think, did they encourage you to believe, or did they drag you down in unbelief and defeat? And I want you to think about who is speaking in your life right now. That's what I want you to think about. I'm telling you, God is going to do something new in your life. But you have to simply believe that what is impossible and what has said to have been impossible to everybody else, God said it's possible to you if you'll just simply believe. That's all you got to do. That's all he's asking. He's just saying, believe. Just trust me. Just believe me. I wouldn't have asked you to do it if you couldn't do it. I just need you to renew your mind and just trust me on this. I need you to have some faith. I need you to believe me and what I said, that it's possible for you to do. I know they couldn't do it. I know the other people failed. I know it didn't work out the last time. I know that it doesn't make sense right now. But I'm just telling you that it's possible for you in this season. If there's the gatekeeper. If you can simply believe. So my question tonight for you is, do you believe? Do you really believe that you can do the impossible? Do you believe that healing is possible when the doctor said it's impossible? Do you believe your financial condition can turn around, that you can become debt-free right now because the impossible is possible? Do you believe that child can come back home? Do you believe that child can give his or her life to Christ? Do you believe that relationship can be restored? Do you believe you can do that business, that idea that God gave you that you can't even fund, that you can't even do? You don't even know how to do it. It didn't even make sense. Nobody's ever done it before, but he gave you an idea. He gave you a problem to solve. Do you believe that you can do it? Because I'm telling you, you can do it when you say repeatedly, and I want you to say this out loud, I believe God and all things are possible to me. Just say, I believe God and all things are possible to me. I believe God and all things are possible to me. I believe God and all things are possible to me. You need to say it every day. I believe God and all things are possible to me. I believe God and all things are possible to me. Type it on the line. I believe God and all things are possible to me. I believe God and all things are possible to me. I believe God and all things are possible to me. Check it out. If the impossible happened, where faith is activated, it's another question for you. What's likely going to happen in your life if things continue the way they're going right now? So if the impossible happens where faith is activated, what is likely going to happen in your life if things continue the way they are right now? What do you want to change? You have a chance to change the game. But you need to understand that I believe God and all things possible to me. Do you believe? I believe. I'm praying for you that you believe today that your situation can change. And it will change if you can believe. But it will not change if you don't believe. God bless you. We'll see you next week.